Good morning, folks. Ari here from Direct Auto Outlet in Fair Oaks, California. This will be a 5,000 mile vehicle review as well as an MPG review, which spans over the course of over 3,000 miles and 6 full tanks of fuel. I did find some surprising differences or inconsistencies, which I will share with you. This video has been a long time coming. I have been waiting to do an MPG review, and at first I wanted to do a 3 tank average. I increased that to 5 and then 6. Partially the reason why I did that was because I wanted to get an accurate assessment and work through some of these inconsistencies and try to get you the most accurate information total. So without further ado, I'm not going to make you wait until the end of the video for this. I'll go through my findings as of right now. I have averaged over the last 3,000 plus miles in which I gauged the MPG on this vehicle. I averaged 40.13 miles to the gallon based on what the car's display has shown me, and actually 38.98 miles to the gallon based on my own calculations. To calculate that, it's quite easy. All you have to do is reset your trip odometer when you are filling up with fuel. After you have filled up with fuel, you reset everything, and at the next full tank of fuel, when you replace that used fuel, you take the amount of miles you've driven, for example 550 miles, and you will divide that by the amount of gallons it took to refill that used gasoline. For example, 13.9 or 14 gallons. You'll take that 550 number divided by 14 and you'll get your own average, so you'll see what you used on the previous tank of fuel. It is oftentimes a little bit different what you will find as compared to what the vehicle will show you, and there can be several reasons for that. First and foremost, a lot of car makers are a little ambitious when they are calculating the MPGs. A lot of the times it will show you're getting more MPGs than you are really getting. That is quite common in the industry. And the second reason would be calibration of the fuel pumps and disparities in temperature outside. Some of the inconsistencies that concern me a little bit is, in doing my own research, the hybrid version of this car has a 13.8 gallon fuel tank. Now that 13.8 gallon fuel tank doesn't mean that you'll always put exactly 13.8 in there. You know, depending on how much fuel you have left before you refuel, you have to take that into consideration. You also have to take into consideration you can fill the capacity of your fuel tank and still have additional capacity that you put in that goes in the filler neck and other items, other areas in the fuel tank, which is above and beyond the capacity. So it's not abnormal to have, for example, a 14 gallon tank and be able to fit 14.1 or 14.2 in it. But the inconsistencies I found was that I would refuel when the car said it had a range of 24 gallons left, for example, which would indicate you probably have anywhere between a half gallon and a gallon of fuel left in it. And in some gas stations, I was able to replace as much as 14.3 or 14.4 gallons of fuel. That doesn't sound right to me, and it is different based on where you go. I first tried to be as consistent as possible and get fuel at the same fueling station and even the same pump for my first 3 fill-ups, but I found that I was oftentimes putting 14.3, 14.4 gallons of fuel in the vehicle with what seemed like a half a gallon or more left in the vehicle. So it just didn't seem right to me. I thought that the pumps were way off and probably not calibrated right. I went to other gas stations with the same amount of range remaining and was able to only put in 13.7, 13.8, which leads me to believe that some gas stations in their calculations are quite a bit inaccurate. I found the largest inaccuracies with the Costco fueling stations for whatever reason. I alternated between Costco, Chevron, and Quick Stop, and the Chevron and the Quick Stop were a lot more consistent with the capacity of the vehicle. Nonetheless, I won't go into too much time describing the inconsistencies or variables between fueling stations. Just where I'm getting at with all of this is, true mileage can really vary. My miles were consisted of driving for myself and my wife. We do have totally different driving habits and we do drive very differently. But this is probably the closest to a real life, real world MPG average that you can possibly get. Now, a few other things that I'll add to it is those first 3,000 miles, the vehicle is not quite broken in for most of that period, so you will get less MPGs than later on when the vehicle has several thousand miles under its belt. So I do anticipate the fuel economy to get better than it has been, even though it's already been quite good. Since I stopped doing my six fuel tank averages right after a little over 3,000 miles, I have done several other tests with single tanks to kind of see, you know, how much I can push the envelope. If I try to hypermile and be conscious of my MPGs and do mostly city driving with some mixed highway driving, but mostly city, I have been able to get as much as 53 miles to the gallon with one tank. Now, when I have been doing a mixture of both highway and city and trying to be conscious of my driving, I have been able to achieve as much as 48 miles to the gallon in a single tank with mixed highway and city driving. Now, I did use the average of what the vehicle reported and what I calculated to give you those averages, so they are fairly accurate. And my best MPG was just over 60 miles to the gallon in one tank. And that was a tank that I was extremely conscious of on how I drove, accelerated slowly, hit the brakes slowly, gradually came to a stop, and I did limit my highway driving. And when I did have to drive on the highway, I was keeping it strictly at the speed limits. So you can actually get quite a bit of miles per gallon through this vehicle. Now, going to the 5,000 mile observation of the vehicle, I am still extremely pleased and happy with the vehicle overall. I am a car nut, and as many of you may be out there who are a lover of cars and enthusiasts, you'll know what I'm saying. When you treat your car better than you treat yourself, you know, you're probably a little nutty, but you know, you're probably a car nut. This vehicle was not supposed to be a special vehicle for me, and you know, even though it is special to me, it is not one of my more special vehicles. This vehicle was purchased so that it can preserve my more special vehicles. So this is a vehicle that I do take through the automatic car wash. I do park, you know, when I can. I try to park in corner spots, but I don't sweat it when I can't. It currently actually does not have a garage spot, but as soon as one becomes available, I will park it in there. But you know, I have over 40 and possibly by now over 50 personal vehicles of my own, and the purpose of this vehicle was to preserve those so that I could take better care of those and put my miles and my wear and tear on this vehicle. And it is serving those needs beautifully. I get excellent miles to the gallon. It's very comfortable, very quiet. The only problem I have had with this vehicle, which I mentioned in previous videos, is a clunk, which you notice on the brakes when you are making a very slow and gradual stop right before you're coming to a stop. You feel the brakes engage as you press the pedal a little bit harder. You'll feel no additional brake pressure, and then you continue to press it ever so slightly harder, and all of a sudden it clunks and it grabs pretty hard. I have noticed that gradually become less and less over time, and between my 3,000 mile review and my 5,000 mile review today, it has only happened twice, and I don't know if it had anything to do with it or if it was just a coincidence, but it happened right after I towed a horse trailer, had the vehicle in tow mode, and then put it back into normal. And on my drive back from dropping off that trailer to a customer, I noticed it happened 2 times. I don't know if it has any correlation with changing the driving modes or the fact that I had a trailer on there and probably put more wear and tear on my brakes. I'm not really sure, but it only did it twice, and I do notice that it hasn't done it since. So it is something that appears, it does appear to be fading and getting better over time. So if you are experiencing that, then good news is that you're probably going to not experience much more of that as the vehicle hits 5,000 or 5,000 plus miles as those brakes get worn in. As far as warranty claims or issues, I'm happy to report we have had 0. We have had no problems, no warranty claims, no warning lights, no indicators that would cause us to have to take the vehicle into Ford, which is a beautiful thing because I do try to avoid the dealership at every chance I get. Now you may ask, Ari, why do you want to avoid dealerships? Aren't you a dealer yourself? Well, yes I am. And I always do try to set myself apart from my competition. I know dealers and the industry we're in general does have its own stereotype and its own problems, but you know, I think hard times really do separate people from one another, and what I mean by that is the industry is going through a very hard time right now, and some dealerships are shining and some are not. Now, I do admit that my overhead and my expenses are nowhere near what a franchise or Ford dealership would be. However, I do think that new car stores are handling the pandemic very poorly. They are engaging in unethical business practices, deceiving advertisement, and many other practices that would be frowned upon by anyone. And my first attempt at using Ford for the service was pretty poor, and it caused me to do my own maintenance and services on the vehicle. I entered into the Ford Express lane, you know, thinking it would be express. That's what its intentions were, at least, for you to be able to get out when you have an hour or two and be able to get into the express lane, get an oil change, and be on your way to go by the time you've had your snack and your free coffee. But that was not the case. They required you to leave the vehicle all day long and said it would even possibly take until the next day. Well, that doesn't sound very express to me, so I purchased a box of 12 oil filters and ordered my own oil online, full synthetic, 0W20 oil, and I did my first oil service myself. Did want to become familiar with the vehicle, and I will be doing an oil change video on my second oil change, demonstrating how that was done, so that all of you at home can also maintain your own vehicles. And it's not too difficult, and minimal amounts of tools required, so do watch for that video. That is to come. One thing I have noticed, which I would say would be a negative on the vehicle, is excessive amounts of rock chips on the windshield. This particular model, being the Lariat, is equipped with, as you can see, the sound screen windshield, which is a special windshield with additional noise dampening. And you would think it is supposed to be a more premium windshield, and it might be, but I have tons of rock chips on there. They haven't turned into stars or cracks yet, but with the limited amount of freeway access I have had, I think that I've experienced an excessive amount of rock chips. So if you own a Ford Maverick or you're planning on buying one, it may behoove you to consider getting the windshield replacement option with your insurance. I do have that with mine, so I think it cost me somewhere, I did the math, in the course of 7 or 8 years it would take for those premiums to equate out to what a windshield would cost for me to replace. So it's definitely a good value. If you're replacing one windshield after every 5 or 6 years, it does pay to have that option on your insurance, so do consider that and explore that option as well. But yeah, my overall opinion of the vehicle is very positive. As a matter of fact, I do plan on ordering another one, even though between my wife and I, we have over 50 personal vehicles. We both find ourselves wanting to drive this one more than anything else, and that's partially due to the efficiency, the comfort, and the fact that we can let our guard down a little bit and breathe a little bit and not worry about anything happening to it, because again, it is a vehicle that its sole purpose is for us to be able to commute with and get parts and be able to be comfortable with and not be paranoid about. So it does its job quite nicely. Would be nice to have a second one. August 16th, the order banks are supposed to be opened. However, that may be pushed back by Ford, so keep your eye on that. But yeah, I plan on ordering another one August 16th. This one took about 9 months to build, produce, and deliver to the dealership. Hopefully that will not be the case with the next one, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, we like it enough where we are purchasing another one, and it would probably be a different trim level. I'm probably going to be looking at a more basic one because that will be for my own personal use. I plan on doing some additional customization to that one. I'm probably going to be getting myself an XL. I plan on doing a subtle lowering kit on it, maybe getting some aftermarket wheels, going a little bit wider, making that one more giving that one more of a sporty look. So stay tuned for that. That'll be down the pipeline. And you know, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the bell icon so that you're notified of all of our future videos. We are making our way back to the lot, so I will ask you guys for a special favor. If you did enjoy the video, please do hit the thumbs up arrow as well. It does help the YouTube algorithms realize that you are enjoying the content, and it will promote our channel. We are concentrating on our channel and constantly trying to improve it, so we do appreciate any help from you viewers out there as well. If there are any special content that you would like to see on the vehicle, please be sure to let us know in the comment section. We would be more than happy to provide you additional content. We do thank another YouTube user which requested an infotainment system review, which we performed and is live on our YouTube channel. We also have a towing video of this vehicle, towing a 2-horse trailer. We do have a 1,500-mile review, a 3,000-mile review, and a 5,000-mile review, and I do try to make each and every one of them a little bit different, so that it brings different perspective and different information, so that it is not being repetitive. So please be sure to check out all of our videos, and by hitting the bell icon you will also be notified of all of our future videos. But I give this vehicle 2 huge thumbs up, enjoy it quite a bit, and yeah, I love the car. As you can see from my instrument cluster display, I am currently averaging 53.7 miles to the gallon in the last 190 miles that I've driven the vehicle. That is quite impressive. And that 190 miles, you can see that 113 of them were all electric miles. The beauty of that is not only all the money you save on fuel, but all the money you save on maintenance and gain in longevity of your vehicle. Think about it. If in the last 200 miles this vehicle has driven 113 of those, over 50% of them in all electric mode, that means that your gasoline engine has not been running. When your gasoline engine is not running, you're not adding contaminants to your oil, you're not putting wear and tear on the engine, and you may find that after 200,000 miles of driving this vehicle, that engine may have equivalent to maybe 80, 90, 100, 110,000 miles worth of miles on it. Something to think about. Well, folks, we have made it back. I do thank you for bearing with us through this video. We do appreciate your patronage. We look forward to seeing all of your questions and comments in the comment section. Once again, thank you for considering to subscribe, and we certainly hope to see each and every one of you in the future. Thank you and have a great day.